Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Chantele. And we're going to talk about Survivor South Africa, episode 14.
Ooh, I have mixed feelings about this one. I can't wait to talk about it. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I would super appreciate it. Chantele, I'm so glad you're here to talk me through this one.
I'm glad to be here. I think we need to work through this together.
Yeah. We start day 34. The next day after this tribal where Kieran outed Anella. Anella's not in a great place. He's not sitting pretty.
Well, I mean, we knew that was coming. Like Anella, like probably the worst move I have ever seen on Survivor. Like, if you're gonna go like have this big plan, make this big blindside, you can never go and tell the person before they're out of the game. Like, you can maybe apologize to them when they're on the jury. Like, you can maybe after the game being like, I can't believe I did that to you, I'm sorry. But like, no, you're still in the game and expect them not to want to target you. So it was
confusing. And so now you're not really in with anyone. Not surprised about that. But Nicole is in a very interesting position, and we sort of see Kieran and Chappies vying for her to come their way. Kieran, being the smart player that he is like, Nicole, oh my God. I mean, I was only thinking about coming after you as a compliment of how good you are.
Sure. Nicole's the best. But I love the position that Nicole's in because she's shown her loyalty in the sense that she's voted the same way as Anella. So she voted with Tyson and Kieran a few times. And so like she's been in for the last few days. But she also isn't really that loyal. You know, I think that she probably went her votes because Anella had convinced her to be like, no, we should do this. No, we should do this. Like, let's stick together. We need our votes together. Because if she had her way, I think she might have made a few different moves. And so the fact that she's in the middle between kind of two sides is a pretty good position for her to be in. And she's going to the end no matter what.
Yeah, this is an interesting setup we have here. Chappies is also working on Nicole. And he tells us that his end game plan here is to sit next to Nicole and Anella. And I'm like, dude, great idea. You beat them hands down. Look at you. You just fell into this position. If those are the two sitting next to you.
Well, it's because Anella made such a big blunder. Like, I mean, they still might have made that happen. Like, he might have had Sansony there instead, and like maybe Anella wouldn't be there, which would be maybe it'd have a little bit of more trouble with Sansony. Just she might get a couple of votes, not sure, between the two of them. But this is a very good position for him to be in because even Anella later on in the episode saying like, "Well, Chappie's is looking really good. Like, everybody hates him. I might want to sit at the end with him." And I'm like, bad idea, Anella, but go ahead, do it.
Yeah, guess what? Anella doesn't get to choose, really, because he's just going to roll to the end here, I think, without a lot of say. I don't know, speculation. All right, we're going to go to a reward challenge. They're going to get a steak and mash dinner with some red wine. And I liked this challenge. I don't know that I've seen a challenge like this one before, where they had
the big.
It was like a tree with the buckets.
Oh, that one. Sorry, yeah, I like that. How you had to like angle it and make sure that the water goes in the right bucket, and then hold a little bamboo thing,
little shoot, bucket. Takes a little bit of strategy to figure out how to get these buckets lined up, get the water to go down in a bit of a fountain. Tyson is in last place this whole challenge. He's not looking good, and later we realize why. He tells us about an injury later. But Anella is right behind Chappies. Seems pretty close. I mean, it's hard to tell with the water dripping. But Chappies is going to take the win for this reward challenge.
So at this point now, like, because everybody hates Chappies so much, like, obviously I'm loving him. Like, I'm just like, Chappies all the way. You can't catch him. Like, win it, Chappies.
I mean, apparently you can't. Yeah, I mean, they legitimately can't get him in these challenges. He's just dominating in these challenges. Now he gets a choice of who gets to have a steak dinner with him. And he chooses Anella. And I really was like trying to process this. How do you feel about this choice?
Well, I immediately thought that he was going to choose Nicole just to lock in Nicole, just because Anella. But then I was like, no, but she's not going to want Anella to go and hang out with the guys because, like, he probably knows that Anella is kind of a lad's lad, and like would prefer to mend fences with those two guys. So I think that that's why he decided, like, Anella, even though he's wishy-washy, like, food speaks wonders to people. And I think that it was because he wanted to, like, hey man, like, we're in the same boat. I forgive you. Like, don't worry. Like, we're playing a game. Like, eat food with me. Like, let's work on a way to get to the end together. And I think that he would be a little bit more open-eared with a full belly. So,
yeah, I mean, ultimately we know how this ends. So I think he did make the right choice here, keeping Anella away from the other guys at camp, schmoozing him a smidge. I just wondered, I was like, oh, should he be schmoozing Nicole? Could the guys really get Nicole?
I just don't think that Nicole would do, like, I know Nicole's upset with Anella. I like definitely like that makes sense. But I was like, I feel as though Nicole is more pliable, but like Anella would be somebody that they could convince to make a decision. Like, I feel like Nicole, though, she could say like, yes, I'm in, but could change her mind. You know what I mean? So I think that he would rather Nicole be someone that he has to rework than Anella, because Anella's kind of proven that once he changes his mind or makes a decision, he doesn't go back on it. So I originally thought the same thing as you, but then after thinking about it a little bit, I was like, I think he made the right decision.
I don't know. Anella's really good at going back on a decision that he makes. But in this case, it works out. The two of them are going to have their steak and wine and mashed potatoes. And Chappie's, in true Chappie's form, is going to enjoy this just maybe a little too much.
There was one point though where I thought he was having an allergic reaction. So remember, like, how Sean, like, he kind of like went out because he went
because he's like,
I was like, what's happening? Are you okay? Like, I thought that he ate something he was allergic.
Yeah, I thought he was about to get sick, and then he's just like, and Anella's like, I'm here. Do I need to leave? Do you need your privacy?
I know why your wife's pregnant right now. Like, passionate.
Boy, red wine just, like, I think it just hits Chappie. That red wine just really hits his
I did
his
feel
system.
like maybe I shouldn't be watching this. It was a little bit personal,
But he does work on Anella. And you know what? In this conversation, Anella gives us some self-awareness that I really did appreciate. It didn't take Anella long to realize his plan would have worked last time, and that it's on him that he messed it up. And I was like, all right, well, at least I'll give you points for that, Anella.
But, like, why couldn't she come to this realization 3 days ago? Like, obviously his plan was going to work. Like, I don't know why well, remember we were talking about it, self-sabotage. Like, I'm definitely thinking right now that, like, he just got in his own way.
Yeah. Yeah. He did say something about emotions or something. And he let his ego get in the way. And, ultimately Chappie's is pitching, you got to join me and Nicole, and we got to get this vote, and Anella is saying yes. But again, we know that he's a flip-flopper and we're not really sure.
Well, I think he has to realize at this point that, like, he's already made Kieran mad now. So Kieran won't, like, he might just take you out. Like, he just might do that. And now you don't have the really assurance that he will be loyal to you because you were almost disloyal to him. So you kind of have to finish what you started.
Yes, there is no fixing this for Anella. So yeah, that's the obvious thing. Now, Anella is the devious one here, and he comes up with a plan. Let's tell them we just shared one plate, and then we might be able to get some dinner with the camp. And Chappie's is like, oh my God, yes, this is something I would have thought of, but you did it. Okay, let's do it.
I didn't understand what was said, like until later on. I was kind of thinking like, oh wait, are they saving, like they're sharing one dessert so that like they'll bring back a dessert for the camp? Like that's what I thought we was talking about. And I was like, oh no, they want to get a half cup of rice from these people after they both had full meals. Wow.
Whoa. And first off, I don't care, right? So they get back to camp. I'm saying I don't care if I'm Kieran, because Kieran's like, what? You had to share a plate? I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, so sorry. Even if they did share half a steak.
It's like you as a reward.
That is more than these kids are getting sitting here at camp. So in no way do I feel bad for you, even if it was a small piece of steak. Right?
Absolutely. No, I mean, I would not be like, I get why they made the rule, like, hey, if you go on a reward, you don't get to share in the meal. Like, it just makes sense. You've had a lot of food, different flavors, like sustenance, like just leave. I wouldn't even think of it. I would be like, absolutely. Like, I don't even want to come near it. Like, eat, enjoy. Like, yeah, it's crazy that they would like think to get some of the rice. So
so bonkers that they would even want rice after they just had mashed potatoes. Like, who does this? But they're both in on it. They do not bring anything back for anybody. Good point, Megan. That wouldn't be fair if they stole food and brought it back. But the fact that the camp gives them some rice and they get to eat dinner, and then it gets worse because Chappie's does his thing where he gets up in the middle of the night and he can't get any more rice, but he can get his crab and mussels and make himself a little stew after he just ate so much.
But okay, this is one thing that we'll probably talk about it a little bit more later. But like he's going out and sourcing this for himself.
No, for sure.
Like I'm just like he went out and he got some mussels and he made some mussels for himself while people were sleeping. Like, are you asking him to be the camp provider? Like, if that's the case, like that's a different story. Being like, hey, Chappies, can you maybe go out and share the food with all of us? And if he's saying no, this is only for me, then maybe I can be a little bit irritated. Or like, can you teach me how you do it so I can do that for myself or for the camp as well? So the fact that they're just mad at him for doing it, I'm just like, well, then learn how to do it. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. And it kind of like, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago with Tyson and the coconuts. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Can you really like say like, no, those are like, they're on our beach. There are coconuts. We have to ration every coconut. I don't know. If I went and grabbed a coconut, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting conversation, and they do talk about it at Tribal, but he's catching the food himself, and he's eating it. Like, that's not illegal. You can't even say that's unfair. It's just the fact that he's so sneaky about it. And then he gets caught, and they're like, hey, and he's like, ooh, hey.
You want to go? You want to join?
It just, it looks shady. It's shady. But apparently Kieran has a whole perspective that little amount of calories isn't worth the time to do all of this. But Chappies disagrees, and he thinks these calories are worth the energy he's putting forth to catch them and eat them. And honestly, like, which one is winning challenges?
A, which one's winning challenges? And B, why be mad then if it's like, oh, let him waste his energy then.
Yeah.
Waste your energy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you like so mad that he's doing this if you think that what he's doing is stupid? Like, don't be so mad.
Yeah, right? Go ahead, waste the calories. Go for it. Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, but I just feel like we've seen so many providers, we've seen so many Joes of the world who go out there and catch all the food and they bring it back to camp and everybody eats. And this is just a different perspective of like, well, I'm just going to catch the food and eat it myself.
But like, nobody's even asked him though. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they might have.
Maybe they haven't shown it though.
I don't know. I mean, I have seen Tyson talk about getting mussels. He knows how to get mussels, so I don't know. Well, here we are. Chappies eats a lot. Now we're waking up to find out that Tyson has an injured thigh. he said that this happened in the ropes challenge, which was a couple episodes ago. That was a while ago.
Which ropes? I couldn't remember what he was talking about.
I imagine it's the one where they had to they were caught up in a rope and they went under and they had to get like free, they were up and over.
A while ago.
Yeah. It was a few episodes ago. It was he had the advantage. He skipped the first section. Mm-hmm. But Chappie's won it and it was down to him. So he probably pulled a muscle trying to beat Chappie's there.
Like a thigh muscle would be very painful.
Mm-hmm. It does not.
How do you pull a thigh muscle? Oh. Sounds painful. Sorry, Tyson. And I wonder if, I wonder that pulled thigh muscle, maybe because of where he started in the advantage, he had to go full throttle without learning how to figure out how to move his body around this. So maybe it was a disadvantage to him because he didn't get to warm up and kind of learn how to move his body through this course. So I'm wondering if it's because of this advantage that he's hurt.
Well, that would be quite annoying if that's what happened. Annoying. Yes, Joseph, it was when Inesu flew over like an eagle.
Right.
That one. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're going to go into an immunity challenge here. It's day 35. They've got to get out in the ocean. I was concerned because it was a water challenge, but it didn't seem like a ton of swimming. It was fairly shallow for most of it. But, oh my God, poor Nicole. So they have to swim out to a crate. They have to jump for a key. Then they have to go on a balance beam. Then they have to get out of the water and put together this sort of round slide puzzle. And Anella does take the lead at first.
And then lost it.
Poor Nicole.
Okay, I have a little bit of a problem with this.
Yes, of course.
These challenges be a little bit more gender neutral? For the fact that she's saying, I wish I had a couple of inches on me so I could reach it. Shouldn't they be doing some sort of equalizer? So it's that's this percent higher than your head or your reach or something to that effect? Because if the guys are a foot taller than her, they're not going to need to jump as far as to grab this key. So the fact that she had to do it multiple times and she was always just missing it when the guys were just no problem.
Yep.
I thought it was very unfair, and I don't understand why they didn't seemingly make some adjustments for her.
Right. I hate to use the word fair because these shows are not fair. Life is not fair. But there is something about making a challenge fairly equal for everyone to have about the same chance.
Correct.
When we're talking about an actual physical challenge, there needed to be an adjustment for her to be able to jump. She ended up jumping at least 4 times, and she tells us later that even after the challenge was over, she's already up there. So she gives it one more try and goes for it, and she couldn't get it. She was never going to get it, and I do feel like there should have been an adjustment. I agree with you, but I went back, and they had them lining up, standing next to each other, talking about this.
She's shorter.
She's actually not.
Oh.
She's that much shorter to Chappie's, who she's standing next to. Chappie's had a massive advantage. But Tyson is actually just maybe 2 inches taller than her.
2 inches? What 2 inches can do.
Maybe 2 inches was exactly what it needed to come in for her.
Just a little bit more of a reach,
Yeah.
It just wasn't equalized, in my opinion. Maybe it was, and she just isn't able to jump very far. Maybe. But, we've seen challenges where they have to carry a certain amount of weights and it has to be a certain percentage of your body weight is how much weight you're going to be carrying, or they measure them so that their reaches are, comparable to each person. So it just seemed that she was at an unfair, a disadvantage that wasn't fairly distributed.
I agree. Absolutely. They said they were going to draw for spots, and then they show you a shot of the things. There was no adjustment. You can see it in the shot. They are all equally out, that whatever you call that, the thing that you have to grab for the key. So yeah, if I were Nicole, I would have complained and fought, but she's got a good attitude and she did not do that. She never gets that key. She stays back this entire time. Anella is going to fall and lose his lead. Chappie's is going to get to the puzzle first, but honestly, Kieran and Tyson were not too far behind getting to the puzzle. Then Anella eventually gets there. They're all at the puzzle except for poor Nicole. But Chappies is going to take the win here. Again.
My guy, we've come a long way, me and Chappies, but I'm obviously rooting for him at this point, just to take down everybody that just doesn't want him to be there. I was trying to find out where I can practice those puzzles. I haven't seen a puzzle like that on Survivor, and so I was like, okay, so it's kind of a slide puzzle. They do something similar, but it's like an actual live piece on Survivor Australia this season. The first episode, they kind of have words that they had to spell out, and they're moving around a big piece, like team and team. And so it is something like a type of puzzle. I just don't know how to call it to try to find it to do at home because I'm a nerd. That.
I know, right? It looks like it's fun. You just have that middle piece that moves.
And you have to sliding things up and slide things over and up and down.
The colors, lots of fun. So Chappies is going to win this, and he does tell us in the confessional of all of these wins are psychologically, getting to the rest of them, and I think that that's true. Yes,
absolutely. Somebody being unbeatable. No matter how hard I try, I can't beat Chappies, and he's winning the rewards, and he's getting the food, and my leg is hurt, and I think that they're just and he's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they're just getting weaker and weaker.
It really would get to me if I was like, I can't beat this guy. He's going to take all the comps, the challenges. We get a conversation with Anella and Nicole here where they're discussing, which one. Kieran is our target. Okay, we're going to do it. I'm going to do it. You're going to do it. We agree to do it. We're going to do it. And that's really the only strategic conversation we get here. Anella says, I'm going to play cards face up. And he does that. He goes to Kieran and he's like, yes, it is going to be you. And I don't know. This is when I start to get a little disappointed with this episode because I don't get any conversations from Chappies. I don't see Kieran making any
something
moves. And Kieran is the type of player who is going to be a bit scrappy, and I have to imagine he did something. He had some conversation with somebody, and we didn't get to see it.
Unless it was you can't tell timelines, but what if it was right before they were going to tribal, and maybe there wasn't actually enough time for him to do any scrambling, and so he just gonna wait until he got to tribal council to just hope for the best, lay it all out there.
But he knew. He and Tyson both knew that they were in trouble. I had to imagine before they even knew which one it was that was going to get the votes, that they either worked on Nicole or Chappies to go after somebody, right? They had to do something. And I wish I could have seen it because here we are going into tribal. And I'm thinking, is this just going to be an easy out for Kieran, or is something going on that they're blindsiding me with?
No blindside.
No.
They must. I actually have no idea. I'll listen around. I'll go in. A lot of people obviously are going to have him as exit interviews and stuff like that. So I'll see if I can get some tea from him.
There was a moment where Anella says, finally, I get my move.
You lost credit for this move last episode, babe.
I was like, oh,
but whatever, Anella. Delusion is fine.
This is you. Yeah, this is the move you're gonna get. Okay, because honestly, you're just a number with Chappies and Nicole getting Kieran out. This is not a move that you can brag about. And pair that with the fact that you have to explain that you messed up the better blindside move last week.
You would have still gotten so much credit for that, especially if the other people that were part of that move were in the jury, right? They would be like, yes, it was Anella that came up with this plan. We decided that when he said that he was willing to turn on Kieran, we totally were there. We're just yes, let's do this. And he would have gotten credit for that no matter what. So the fact that he like traded his credit for like a lesser valued
Yes.
it's like,
Oh, the
you never
math
do
doesn't
that.
add up, bud. It just doesn't. I can't wait to see him in the final trying to convince us that he took out Kieran. Well, we get a cute little emotional hug from Tyson and Kieran, which gets me.
Do you have a tear?
No, but I love them as a duo. I really do. I think they're adorable together, and I love that they care about each other so much enough that they're like sad that one of them is leaving.
I mean, I can definitely feel for them, and like
Yeah.
they were riding so high for so long that it is a little bit sad, but you could see from last week that their reign was kind of ending. And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I was kind of already prepared for this separation to happen. I didn't see it possible unless they started winning, that they would be able to stay together. So I was just kind of like, you guys were playing so well, but you started to make some bad moves and taking out people that you shouldn't necessarily have taken out. I mean, they might have been broken up beforehand for sure, but I don't know if the moves that they ended up making were the best ones for them both to survive.
Yeah, let's analyze this at the end here, because I really was trying to figure out where everything went wrong for them, since they were riding high for so long. And going into tribal here, like that's kind of how Nico sets it up. He's like, Kieran, where did it go awry for you? You were doing so well. And he says he doesn't think there was ever a moment that it went awry. I think I agree. I was like, I think it's a series of events that led to this, but not like one moment.
I actually think that pulling in Anella and like by like adjacently Nicole, I think that that's where they went wrong. So like, yes, Nicole and Anella were like super excited about like not going home, being part of the plan. Anella wants to be in there with those three guys, but they never really had their loyalty. And I think that it allowed cracks to be made in the foundation. And I think that is where they lost their footing, is because they allowed people into their camp.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's pretty clear that Anella.
I mean, because they might have gone home, but it would have been at the hands of like a Nessu or something like that. But I just don't think that it would have gone down this way, where it's like, I don't even think Tyson's going to make it to the end now. Like if it was Nessu was still there, I could see Nessu and Tyson still even being there in the end, because Nessu might have still wanted to work with him and like, let's vote together. So I'm so sorry that we had to do that. You know what I mean? Like they would have had somebody that was part of their OG tribe that they would be able to still reform some trust with, but they just wanted to be safe. And they said whatever they needed to say. And they were a number for you when you needed them. And they mistaken that for serious loyalty. And
Nico brings up, he like kept bringing up the food situation. He was really trying to get them to talk about Chappie's and his eating, and they eventually get to it. But I really felt like Nico was supportive of this. He was like,
he loved it. That's what I wrote down. I'm like, Nico loves Chappie's taking food.
Yeah, he's like outwitting. He's doing what he's got to do to win all these. He's like, why does he keep winning? What's different? Why does he keep winning? Like he really was trying to upsell it.
I mean, and I bought it. I was like, I love it, Nico, because like, a couple episodes ago, we had the whole like, let's try to burn Chappie's to the ground and have him kicked out of the game because of the fact that he, stole food from. Anyways, you remember that episode, and so Nico wasn't really buying it.
Yeah,
kind of like, well, you kind of all did something to that effect, and it's like, and so this is like him doubling down on the fact that this isn't an argument that he cares about. Like he thinks that you do what you need to do to get nourishment and sustenance in this game. If it's going to help you, you can do it. It's not really breaking any real rules.
Yep, absolutely. This is when Kieran does his calorie counting thing. And I was like, well, again, who's winning these comps though, Kieran? They do a little in-game talk here. Nico is like talking about the 3 pillars, and Nicole couldn't even spell out her game here in this moment. And I thought this was an interesting little piece to realize. I would be like, oh, got it, Nicole, I'm taking you with me as far as I can because you can't even explain your game.
No, we know Nicole is going to the end at this point. She's at the point of no return. Like, she is taking up one of those spots. Do we know if it's a final 2 or a final 3?
I don't. I have not heard that.
If it's she's final 2 or 3. I think she'll be there. So yeah, it's great that she can't articulate her game because that makes it even. Maybe she's doing it on purpose. Let's give her that. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt that she's doing this on purpose to make herself look like she's the best goat ever.
Oh, I hope she is. But with Rainier on the jury going, no, she never could figure out strategy, then not good for her. We're going to get our votes, and they are nothing surprising here whatsoever. The 2 guys, Tyson and Kieran, are going to put their votes on Nicole, but the other 3 do stick with their agreement to vote out Kieran. So he gets 3. He is out. And even though we get it, obviously, I thought Kieran was playing the best game. I thought this was Kieran's game to lose. He should have won this game if he was sitting at the end. So I totally understand them taking him out. But I honestly felt bad for him in this moment, that this was such a boring way to go out. When honestly, last week, if he had gotten blindsided by Anella, I feel like that is like the juicy, respectable way to go out when you're a great, like Kieran, you know?
Yeah, maybe Anella on a subconscious level really didn't want him to have the fanfare.
Yeah.
Like, because that would have been epic, like epic move of all time, Kieran, best player to never win. Like, maybe he didn't want to have that. And it's like, oh no, he just got voted out, and Anella told him beforehand.
Just knew he was going, and he got out. I was like, he deserved something bigger. Because I think he goes down as one of the greats to never win.
Definitely, excellent player. Definitely. Like, the only reason why I wasn't rooting for him was because he was rooting against my girl, Anesu, and Anthony, and Chappie's. Like, if they stayed working together, I would have been down with him, winning. I thought that if I were playing the game, like, Kieran would be somebody that I would be wanting to play the game with. And so the fact that he didn't get a good exit, it's just kind of like, man, that blows. I'm like, I blame Anella.
Yes, I blame all of this on Anella. Anella has messed up so much of this. So coming up next, let's talk about this. Is Tyson with nothing? They didn't preview much, but I now think Tyson is injured and doesn't have his powerful duo. Is Tyson even a threat anymore? Do we keep him and get out Anella?
Oh my God. I mean, that would be just desserts. That would be best good TV. That would be Chappie. You are savage. I think that Chappie's would win next to Tyson. I think Tyson could only really get Warda's and Kieran's votes.
Yeah.
Everybody else's, maybe a couple people might be into it, but the flashiness of Chappie's with having Anesu and Santini talking about the rest of his game, and he's just like having that necklace around his neck 4 times in a row at Tribal, not being able to take him out, and him getting his target out most of the time. It's just too much of a good game, and I think that it's flashier for Chappie's to let me take injured Tyson, my arch nemesis, who he wants me so badly to go out that it would be very good.
It's hard to see the end game here without it being a Chappie's win. I guess it is possible if he doesn't win a challenge.
Yeah, but what I was really happy with was the fact that Anella was saying like, oh, with him stealing this food and stuff like that, oh, I'll sit beside him. I'll get the votes for sure. And I was like,
right.
Really? You think that?
Like, yes. Really? I'm not surprised that Anella is completely off base here, that, you know, he's not even going to see Chappies as a threat to win the game. He thinks people haven't liked Chappies most of this game. You know, people are like,
Kieran, though. Now he's the Kieran Slayer and he is going to win the game.
Okay. Well, you keep thinking that way, Anella.
Fine by me.
You keep thinking that way. So where did Kieran's game go wrong? Exactly. Anella obviously was not someone to trust. But I also think Warda, she didn't help the trio seem, I don't know, the trio got kind of a bad look because she was so vocal. And I think that she just kind of, they easily isolated as a trio with her. And then when they took her out, I mean, she was a good shield for him. Mm-hmm. So once she was gone, he was in trouble.
But if Anesu had taken out Tyson and Warda that episode, I think Kieran would have slinked his way to the end.
Yeah.
He really would have.
So getting out Anesu might have been his undoing.
She would probably want to keep him there for a little bit long. I mean, I know that she felt that he played a similar game to her, so she was threatened by him. But if that was the next week, I think. So if the week when it was the duos week, if they had taken out Tyson and Warda, and she was linked up with Kieran, I think that Kieran would be like latched onto Anesu and be like, we have to stick together because like we're the biggest targets, blah, 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 like something like that. And I think that they might have ended up working a little bit better together, maybe taking a shot at each other later on, who knows? But I think he would have had a better chance of just like fading into the background, not looking like the strategic mastermind of a three-headed monster.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Well, I loved watching Kieran play. I thought watching his little brain work, the wheels of spin, was very fun. He came up with some great things. I mean, that original merge tribal,
oh my gosh,
was one of the best things we've seen in so long. Like, that was so good.
Very good. Definitely. And then he would come back in a heartbeat for an all-star season.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this cast, I don't know if it's just like, I don't know the South African sentiment, but like all the players, like a lot of them were just so phenomenal that I could see them coming back for another season of All Stars or whatnot. Like a lot of them really made a big mark.
They really did. There are so many that we've liked from the beginning. We were like, oh my God, we love them all. We like so many. I love this whole jury. Every time I watch them walk in, I'm like, this jury, they're so good. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, you said you would want to work with Kieran if you were in the game. I probably would have tried to get him out the whole time. I would have been an Anesu, been like, I'm coming for you, because he was just so good. And I put on my Instagram, like, that's the downside of being great at the game. Like, then you are the target that people have to focus on.
Okay.
So
if I was working with him, though, hopefully I would be like, you kind of have to tone it down a little.
You know, stop looking like you're so good.
Yeah, it's like I'm attached to you. Like, look a little worse, okay?
Well, I'm very interested to see what is going to happen now that we are down to this 4, because it is an unusual odd 4, I think, and I can't believe we might get like a Chappies Nicole end or a Chappies Nicole Anella end. I just can't believe we're here.
I mean, I feel because of the fact that Tyson is injured, I don't see Anella or Nicole beating him in this next challenge. Like, what could it be? If it's anything physical, I feel that he has an upper hand to anybody that's left in the game. So I do feel that Chappies is going to leave, and I think that he would take the low-hanging fruit and take Anella with him and vote out Tyson. I think Tyson's gone. I mean, of course, it would be interesting for the fact that he has an injury, so he's not going to be that threatening. So maybe they want to keep him fine. I can see that logic as well. But I feel like Chappies is like, I'm not a gambling man. Like, let me just take somebody I know I can beat for sure. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the jury's stacked in his favor, honestly. So I feel like he's in a really, really good spot. Sherry, thank you so much for following Chantele over here. Yes, she comes over here every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific for us to talk about Survivor South Africa. And I have not listened to the morning update yet, so I will be doing that here shortly after we wrap up here. Thank you, like always.
It's always so fun. I enjoy talking about this season with you.
This whole season, right? Yeah, this whole season, we've had so much fun. You guys in the chat are the best. We love you. We appreciate you being here with us. And if you're joining us later, leave me a comment. Let us know how you felt about losing Kieran. Does it look like Chappies is about to take this whole thing to you?
I can't believe this. Like, we were just like, that guy's not going to win. He's Chappies, like, too big of an ego. He's going out right away. And like, wow, I'm eating my words big time here.
I mean,
he called himself the winner. I'm like, they wouldn't show that.
The man himself jumping in here.
You turned me around. I love you. You're my favorite for sure.
Seriously, we have been all over the map following Chappies in this game, and here we are looking at a pretty clear path to the end.
Sounds like
and now all I want to see is Chappies with his red wine at the end of it. Just a lot of that. All right, you guys, we'll be back next Saturday. Yes, 2 more episodes to go till we find out the winner of this amazing season. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And obviously, Reality Realness, Chantele's got all of the thousands of shows that she covers.
I know, right?
I've got Big Brother, and apparently I've got The Circle starting this week. I can't keep up myself, but I'll figure it out. If you guys are subscribed to both places, then you'll be able to figure it out too.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Ciao.